Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for a few minutes of fun. I'm having a few minutes of fun working out what to do with some of these textured backgrounds we made a way back. I'll link to the video for those. I can hardly remember what we did. I think texture paste through stencils and sprays. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, and I'm going to take them on a little bit further. But first of all, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to those of you who support me either regularly or occasionally by buying a cup of coffee through the link below at Buy Me a Coffee. It makes a huge difference, and it means I can continue to offer up the content here on YouTube for free, which gives me such joy to be able to share my joy in what we do here. So these are sort of rusty looking and exciting to me, therefore. The texture is already really cool. I'm wondering about doing a little bit of highlighting of the texture in places. So this is some Treasure Gold. It's a metallic wax. As you can see, mine are quite ancient, but you can just apply it with a finger. Any wax medium will do. There are loads of them out there. Prima have one. Tim Holtz does the foundry waxes, though you have to do some other things with those, heating them or some such. I've not had a chance to play with those, so I'm not going to lay down the law about them. But these ones you can just, with the flat of a finger, just rub over the top of texture, and you'll hit those edges and just give them a lovely kind of gilded shimmer in places. It's obviously going to be most effective if I do it over some blue, because then you're going to get the contrast of colour as well by using that gold. And I quite like the effect of that. So that's one way to highlight texture. You can also do it with dry brushing of paint. Using a contrasting colour is quite a good idea. So I'm just going to see what I can do. This is Fuzzy Cactus, which is a PaperArtsy paint. Oh, I haven't painted the lid yet. Look, let's do that while we're here. So this is how I like to be able to identify my PaperArtsy paints. This is a new one to me, as you can see. So there it goes. It gets its little coat of paint on the top. So for dry brushing, as you can hear, the clue is in the name. You need your brush kind of as dry as possible, and a good bristly brush is a good thing to have as well. I'm just having a search for my scabby old, but it does also help if it's got quite a flat surface. In any case, get some paint onto it. You don't want much. In fact, I'm going to rub quite a lot of it away. And then you want to kind of hit at a 45-degree angle. Even that's got a bit much paint on. So I'm just coming in with the brush angled so that I'm hitting the edges of the texture. And that kind of draws the attention by just highlighting those edges. And it can be quite an effective way to just create a little bit of extra focus on what's going on in a bit of texture. Let's see if we can get some over this orangey bit. So you can see I'm coming in at various angles and just trying to hit the edges so that they come into focus just a little bit. So that's another way you can create additional focus on your texture. Let's give it a little scabby go. I do quite like that actually, and I'm enjoying the Fuzzy Cactus as well, because it's quite a pale, opaque, acidy green. Almost. I mean, there's a lot of white in it, which is great, because white will always highlight things well. Being as how it looks like light is catching them. So a pale edge to those, I think, is going to be quite effective. Maybe just a little bit on here. I'm a bit wary of messing around with this one too much, because I'm really enjoying it already. But maybe it's good to just try and catch some of these ones in the blue area with a bit of extra. And there's also some bits where we've got, oh look, that's a dead brush. That's right, I can put a drop of glue in here and glue it back on, and then also maybe a bit of pincer action with some pliers, and that'll That will bring that brush back to life. But as you can see, it works perfectly well as well like that. Good. I think that's about all I want to do, except that what I will do, I'm not going to leave this one in the water because that's clearly what I've done far too often in the past. So I'm just going to give that a good clean on the brush and that should be enough. But what I will do is get my scabby spatter brush and just do a little bit of spatter with this pale acidy green, just because I think that's going to be quite a scrummy contrast in amongst what else is going on these rusty little panels. It's giving a sort of impression of verdigris or old mossy decay, I don't know, lichens and such like. I don't know that we're going to use all of these. I may just end up doing one. Oops, drop it in the paint. Grand. It won't hurt. It's all good. So yeah, that's just giving me a nice little additional layer of detail, of texture. You can see where it's going. These have been done weeks, months ago. You see how fast it's just sinking into that area of paint. It's vanishing. Fascinating. Even all those months later, as it starts to get a bit more saturated, I'm getting a little bit left. I will have to go back and watch that video to see what that is in that corner that is soaking up paint like nobody's business. Grand. I think that's enough to make me happy for now, backgrounds wise. And then the other things I've sort of grabbed out to have a play with are plenty of Tim Holtz stamps. So I'm thinking maybe insects or butterflies or moths. There's also some brilliant little ephemera stamps down there. And then I've got out these fantastically detailed ones, just hundreds of little detail stamps on those. I pulled out some of the die cutting rusty texture thingies we did once upon a time using some of Seth's amazing die cuts, Seth Apter with Sizzix, also some Tim Holtz gears in there. I've got a bunch of rusty nails. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm going to see how the mood takes me. I noticed that these two seem to have made their way onto the centre of the table. I think I might start just by getting an insect on, because that's the kind of mood I'm in. I'm thinking insect. I don't know why. It just happens to be what my brain wants to do today. And I think I'm going to do him in. So colour. Yeah, let's go with green. So this is the leaf green. And then what I might do is give him a little bit of sort of slightly airy beach cruiser through those wings, just for a touch of variation. There's a little bit of fluff on there, which is going to compromise my stamping. So I'll just go back in and make sure that's all inked up. And I'm sort of feeling like he might want to go here. Obviously, I need to be careful not to go straight over texture. Yeah, see, that's sort of somehow what my brain wanted today. There's no telling, is there? Sometimes these things, and then I sort of feel like that could be the same bug with his wings folded. Might go quite nicely up here. And again, I'm going to go down one side with the beach cruiser, again, just to create a little bit of variation. I feel like he wants to be there. Grand. Now, if I want to put some stamping behind him, I'm going to need to cut myself a mask. What have I got in terms of paper? Oh, yeah, these are quite interesting. These are some little envelopes I got, but I'm just wondering whether that doesn't make quite a good mask if I pull it apart, because it's see-through, which means that I can see exactly what I'm doing as I'm using it. I got a whole bunch of these for not very much money, so I'm not worried about pulling one of them apart to use in a different way. I could use some tracing paper, but this is on the desk and the tracing paper is the other side of the room. So I'm not going to. Good, so I'm going to stamp him onto there in a nice dark colour so that I can see him. I wonder if I put him there, then I've got room to do you as well. Then I can have 2 masks, just in case I want to do some stamping behind this one. So layering up and masking is a question of turning your brain the other way up, because you sort of feel like if things are in the background, you want to stamp them first. But no, if you're going to do masking and put something behind another image, you need to put the image that's going to be in the foreground down first. And once that image in the foreground is down and you've got a mask, you can then put as much as you like behind them. I'm not going to cut round these legs, partly because I don't think it's going to make any difference when I stamp. The leg is going to be visible even if I stamp some words over the top. So I just want the basics of the body and the wing, which means it's not that arduous to cut out. The most helpful tip, I think I've probably said this before, that I've ever had around detailed cutting, fussy cutting, as many people call it, is to move the image, not the scissors. So by and large, I try to keep the scissors fairly still. I'm not going to cut out these legs either. I think they'll stay put. So I just want the head like so, around there, and then back up here. Keeping the scissors fairly still, moving mostly paper. So now that he exists, if I place him over here and then stamp with something behind him, well, stamp with something over the top, it'll end up looking as though it's behind him. Just looking for something nice and sort of solid so that we can really see what we're doing. I wonder if this big 5, I don't think I've ever inked this up because it's quite substantial, but it's quite cool. So let's pop you back on there. And let's get you out. And I might stamp you in something like a light coating of sepia. So I'm not going to dab, dab, dab. I'm just going to brush over the top, which should get me a slightly softer inking. And then over the top of here, I'm just going to go number 5. And because that stamp can't hit where the mask is, you end up with him in front of that number 5. Rather enjoying that. And what I sort of want to do is add another one that is going to also go behind him. Let's go with this. Or no, maybe we want something flattish. Is it luggage? We'll go with luggage. Or condemned. I don't want to condemn him. I don't want to condemn him. So let's go with this. And same thing. Bit of a dab on that one. So this should get me a slightly darker version of the image. And I'm going to go just below and behind. There we go. So he stays in the foreground and the wording drops to behind. I'm going to quickly cut this one out and be back. That was even simpler to cut. I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see it happened this time. So again, a nice solid sort of a word. And I'm going to go partly behind and partly across. And I think we'll go across his head like so. And there he is. He stays in front of that wording. Nice. And then I think I want something maybe like... I am enjoying that 5, so I'm thinking I might go with this number. There's quite a nice 4.5 here, which will go sort of partly behind him and partly not. Let's go sort of there-ish, just nipping the edge of the wing. Yeah, good. And then I want one more that's maybe going crossways a little bit. Maybe the postmark. So just layering up that stamping, letting him be present, but falling into the background with the detail stamping. Nice. And then my heart is crying out for rusty nails. That's a huge rusty nail, isn't it? Look at that. And there's a sort of rusty screw here, which is also quite nice. If I'm going to do this, then I'm going to need to mount this onto some cardboard, because these nails are, they're the real thing. Grand cardboard time. This is a good sturdy piece of cardboard, even though it's not terribly thick. So that's doing a good job. That means I can put a hefty nail onto here without it flopping about all over the place. But I'm also thinking I want to bring these insects a little more into focus. I haven't quite decided what else is going on yet. And I think the way I want to do that is to put some clear embossing powder over them. I need something for the clear embossing to stick to. The powder needs to hold on. So I'm just wondering if the simplest way to do that isn't to put a little bit of, this is Salvaged Patina Distress Ink, and I'm just going to paint over these wings. See, that's already giving him a little bit more presence. It's partly because the colour I ended up stamping with behind him is that nice prominent sepia colour. But I think that this is going to do quite a nice job of bringing him back into focus. So I gave it a good blast with the heat gun so that that embossing powder hopefully won't stick to the lettering. It will only stick to the butterfly. Yeah, you can see he's gone a bit dimmer because that powder is clinging to him. Before I heat emboss it, I'm just going to get the other one done as well. So again, a little bit of Salvaged Patina. You could even do this with water. As long as you get your powder on quickly, embossing powder will hold on to moisture of all kinds. But there's a slight danger with the water that it dries before you can get the powder to cling to it. Whereas going with a little bit of ink should get us a nice glossy, light catching, and therefore slightly more attention catching insect. And again, you can see the powder is clinging to that. So at the moment he's gone a little bit dimmer because before it's melted the powder is opaque, and then once I melt it, it's just clearly one of those days, isn't it? Do we want to see the melting happening? It's noisy, this heat tool. Just going to clear off. I think there's a bit of powder clinging to this number 4, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So for all my best laid plans and making sure the background was dry, it wasn't quite. So let's just get rid of that. There we go, that's a bit cleaner. Right down the edge of his wing there. Little tap, we'll get rid of that. We got it here? No, I think this was done longer ago, so that's fine. I'm going to heat emboss, and maybe what I'll do is pop some music over it so you can see the magic melting but not be bothered by the noise. There you go. You can see it just helps to bring both of them back into focus, and they get that lovely light catching quality at the same time. Good. Let's wipe up. I'm sure I had some paper towel a minute ago. There it is. Let's wipe up that. Good. I had planned to do clear embossing over some of this texture, but I decided against that. But that meant the clear embossing powder was around to do that with. Right, I think you want to be on here. I think maybe one of these acetate moths wants to be on here. Since we're going insect, I'm not entirely sure at the moment. Let's see, what's it like if we layer those up a little bit. you. I do love you. You're very good. Maybe it's a smaller one. Maybe he wants to go there. Rusty nail. Maybe he wants to perch on the rusty nail. So now it's a question of playing and just seeing. At some point, my brain will go, yes, that's what I want. Until it does, I have to just keep manoeuvring things, switching things in and out. I think that one is a bit big and it's going to distract from the two others that we've got. If the nail goes bang centre, that's quite unusual for me, a central nail. Maybe it's a half a butterfly again. You know what I'm like with these butterflies. They get cut in half all the time. But maybe it would be nice for once to keep a whole butterfly. I quite like him there. Let's maybe move this over and down. I'm really enjoying that rustiness against the blue, but maybe I do need to look at it against the rustiness as well. No, it definitely wants to be against the blue. Definitely needs to be against the blue. If I put the nail here, I don't want to cover up the moth down there, so it would have to be quite high up in order not to hit. I do prefer it off center, of course I do. There's something in that potentially. And then we've got quite a lot of space here for a large moth affair. What are you? You're actually not out of the moth trap. Oh, hello. That's starting to do something in my brain. And maybe there's an argument for another little bit of this. Or a bit of this. Not quite. Little rusty gear. Maybe. And if I've got some more of those, that might work. Oh, I've got a rusty heart. Not really in a heart sort of mood. Seriously, I've used all the gears. No, that can't be true. Oh, look, there's a good little bit. That's quite interesting. That's got little tiny teeth because it's a bit that's pulled out from another bit. There's another gear. I have got some leftover rusty cards, so I could always cut. Okay. Rusty Industrial was really my first love. Botanicals came along a lot later, funnily enough. I'm just thinking it might be something along those lines. That's looking pretty good to me. Now the question is, do we glue these butterflies flat, or do we create a little bit of lift and then we'll be able to see what's underneath? If they lift their wings, then you get to continue to see the texture. I'm really quite enjoying that. Just wondering about a little bit of texture along the bottom here. Maybe it's as simple as this bit just coming up like so. Let's lose that end part, it's too much. Yeah, that's a good echo of what's going on with the numbers. Let's take you away temporarily and just make it the 1. See, that's quite nice because you get a proper look at the texture underneath. And it also draws my eye back to the insects at the corner. I think this guy is kind of distracting me from, and because I've got that down there, I'm wondering whether I want another little bit up here. This is the brilliant thing about Seth's die cuts. They give you these little sort of accent pieces full of grungy delight. Maybe that one's too heavy and needs to be down here so that the lighter one can come in from the top, or maybe it's that corner and that corner. That's quite good. No, I was right the first time. Over the rustiness. Just creating extra rustiness over the rustiness. La la la. And maybe there are some words to be found. Maybe that's what's needed in addition to these numbers. Let me go hunting. it's getting there compositionally. I think I want a bit more stamping. I think that might help my brain. So I'm going to come in with a bit of tone on tone. So this is the Beach Cruiser, and I'm going to mostly aim this over turquoisey bits of tag. So I'm just creating a little bit of extra in case it goes over his body. Let's just pop him there, and let's have that go up the side there. Quite like the idea of that. Yes, very good. And some more numbers. There are so many fabulous numbers on this set, just little detaily bits that you can stick in all over the place. And I'm going to stick to the Beach Cruiser because I don't want them too kind of prominent. I just want them as a background detail, just a little bit of extra stuff going on. It's just tasty having those extra bits of numbering. Out of the way, nails, can't get on there otherwise. What else, what else, what else? Just having a look. Maybe those, ooh, I like that one. This one through the middle here, that is just a sort of very plain little number. Let's pop him in a couple of places. So, like so. And coming out from here. Yes, that's nice. I like that. Let's put some here. I sort of want it coming from behind this postmark, but I don't want the postmark. It says borrow one of these hearts. Look. Oh no, because it's not flat enough. There must be something circular on here. Oh, you'll be close enough. Look, so I'm going to use the edge of that tag just to line up with the edge of that postmark so that I can have that coming out from behind there. That's good. I want another one. Just a little bit above. Let's do the 88. That's good. And a third. Nice. Somehow that's making my brain happy. So let's have a double layer of it here as well. There we go. It's going to end up behind something. It's all good. All good. Okay. I'm now less sure about these little bits. I think that's a bit too twee. I love them. I love them, but I think they're better, oh look, on something like this mop-up tag background, creating a bit of really contrasting detail. This was one of the resist backgrounds we did the other day, so I don't know if you can see that little, that's really cool. Oh, see, I want to work on that now. Tag time coming up. That'll be along pretty soon, I suspect. Grand. Right. I do think I need to look at a slightly larger. I like this coming in as a partial gear down here. I found with Brave Wings She Flies, but I'm not sure it's that. I think that's a bit too... actually, now those bits have gone, I like it a lot better. Maybe that one is a better... In fact, we could have... Yeah, we could have two, and that might mean we have one of those coming up at the top. Ah, okay, now we might be talking. Let's do that. Sometimes you just got to be bold. Sometimes you just got to cut a thing to know how it's going to work elsewhere. That could be good. Something like that. This one here. Yeah, okay, I'm going to cut this one as well. Just a little bit off it. And that's going to go there. Over the text, you see, and that's cool with me. That's really nice. I like it. That's somehow better to me than having the twiggy bits. Maybe we go like that. Doesn't show up so well against there, does it? It's much better against that. That's quite good. That's quite good. This is growing on me. I wonder if I can get it to float. I do want to look at a larger one of these again. If we use With Brave Wings She Flies, it sort of needs the larger moth to let that happen. That might be a thing. Good, I'm going to glue these down before I can change my mind, and before I lose them, because that's the other thing that can happen. You put something down, you pick something up again, and before you know it, the thing you were about to glue down has vanished. Lots of glue flooding out. This is my usual Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. Any acrylic glue, craft glue will do. We're just gluing paper to paper, even if this is slightly rusted. So there will be links, as I say, down below to the video where we made these backgrounds, to the video where we made these die cuts. I think that might come in 2 parts, actually. I think it might have been backgrounds, and then we might have done die cutting with them another time. I don't remember any longer. That's very cool. Let's get this against the blue. So obviously, tone on tone versus contrast gives you a very different look. If things go tone on tone, there's a subtlety, there's a harmony, there's a barely there kind of quality. And now you see me, now you don't, which I do enjoy. But if you want something to make a statement, then you want to put it over a contrasting colour like that, over that. The brown over the blue will make it have an impact. So all these things are worth considering as you're putting something together. Come on, glue. I know you're nearly empty, but I can also tell there's still some in there. Okay, and that up there. So that is one tone on tone, really, because that's going over the brown, and one that is contrasting. This is definitely growing on me as I look at it. I do think I want to trim it a little bit less prominent white, and I'm going to come in with some of this sepia just around the edges, just so that it's got a rustiness to it instead of that bold white. So this is one of the quote chips. As always, I will be listing ingredients down below, but for things like the ingredients of the Seth thing, I might not list it all again. Go to that video and that will have those details. So that's going to need to be on quite a lot of padded tape, or maybe I can get it to just stay put. Right, this is going to need some of the heavy duty glue to get that nail to stay put. A hot glue gun would do it. I'm not much for the hot glue guns, to be honest. I find they don't have as much longevity in their gluing. So hot glue over time can become quite brittle, and things can fall off. I did have this sticking out, but I'm thinking it's possibly better not to, because it will be fragile over that edge. So let's just take the whole thing all the way across. The glue is white at the moment. As it dries, it will dry clear. It'll have a slight sheen to it, but it's not flat out glossy, so I can live with there being a little bit of gluey outline if there is some. But this kitchen towel should deal with most of that problem. Grand. That and that. I think it's still you. And my aim is going to be to tape him in so that I can do a bit of moulding of the wings. Where did my words go? I need to make sure I leave room for that as well. Yeah, I think that's making me quite happy. I've maybe gone a little bit low down with those numbers, annoyingly, but you know, we'll live. Brave Wings She Flies. Up like so. No, it'll work. So the nail, yeah, I'm enjoying that. Still not completely convinced about those words. What are my other options? I've got the small talk stickers here. You can never have too much happy, it says there. Wishing you all you're wishing for. Nah. With grace and authenticity. Nah. Not today. Together is the best place to be. Well, she's alone, and that's also a good place to be. A dream is a wish your heart makes. That doesn't seem like what I want. And then we're into the white ones, which I think are going to just glare at me. Live gently upon this earth, though. Oh, I wonder if I've got another pack of... because that is saying something to me. Live gently upon this earth. That might be what I want, regardless of it being white. So, because I don't want it bright white, I've got options. I can create a bit less of a whiteness by just dipping it in, for instance, a bit of pumice stone. And I've had difficulty with the small talk stickers in the past because it's quite absorbent paper. So I'm going to go easy on this. Quite a watery one to start with. Just to create a bit of, yeah, see, it really sucks in whatever you put on it. But I think that's probably enough to soften that enough that it doesn't bother my eye. And what it does is it ties it into the moth quite well, because it's got a grey tone to it. I'm going to dry that and maybe put a bit of edging around it. But let's get these nails glued down, and that's going to be a question of my super duper matte super heavy gel Liquitex. I think we might be ready to pull that bit of lid out now. In fact, there's probably enough on there to do a job of work. I usually use a coffee stirrer for this to dip in, pick up. Now, obviously it's no good putting glue all the way along the length of this nail because it's not touching the tag all the way along its length. It's touching the tag right here at the top, and it's touching the tag down here at the bottom. So that's going to have to be enough. And with this glue, it will be. Do you want to get this in the place where I want it? Because I don't want to leave muddy glue everywhere. Grand. That I can feel is already quite stable. And that's the joy of this glue. It's like using peanut butter to glue something down. The screw is going to be even worse because it's only making contact where those screw threads make contact. Nearly dropped it, didn't drop it. So let's put you there. And again, I'm giving that a good firm press down, almost so that the head of the nail is going into the surface of the paper. That's that. And it will take quite a long time to dry, but that's good. That means it's doing its job and it's going to stay put. Oh look, I seem to have used that coffee stirrer to light candles as well. That'll be one of the candle jar episodes. There we go. That's, yeah, as I wobble that, I can feel that that's already stable. It's not rolling away. This one's slightly less so, but it's had a bit less long on the table. Right, let's edge this. I had a bit of that a minute ago, didn't I? Because I edged the other one. Again, just with a hint of rustiness around the edges. I think we'll just make that sit a little more easily to the eye. Good, that can be this. So this is a sticker, but I tend to like to give them a little bit of extra stickiness regardless, just so that I know they're going to stay put. Let me slide that under there. Live gently upon this earth. Would that we could. Still work to be done on that. That's good. That's very good. And you, my friend, is it you? My final question. Is it you? I think it is you. Ooh, I know what we could do. We could give you some little rusty wire antennae. There we go. If we position you there, heat you a little bit so that we lift up your wings. Yep. So I'm just going to use the heat gun to mould him. We have done that in a previous episode quite recently. So if I can find it, I'll link to that as well, rather than show you the moulding again. Rather than staples, I have done glue. Yeah, a little bit of each, in fact, a little bit of this one, Cosmic Shimmer, and then I decided it wasn't really gluing very well, so I gave it a bit of the Liquitex Super Heavy Gel as well. So this is just a real bit of finessing, just to create some, they're a bit long at the moment, so we'll cut them shorter. A little bit of finessing, garden wire. It's not actually rusty wire, it's just a bit of dark garden wire. I'm going to give those a little curl, just moulding the wire a little bit to give it a bit more presence, a little bit of heat moulding on those wings, and all I need to do, hopefully, is tuck that under there with, where's that bit of, yeah, so still using up the glue from this bit of lid, little touch of that, just slid underneath his head so that we get those delicious little dimensional detailed antennae. Oh, that's happy making, isn't it? Grand. Good. I'm going to let that dry while I do a bit of clearing up. I hope you've enjoyed that, yeah, I don't know, panel playtime. This could go on the wall exactly as it is. It would be quite nice, I think, probably mounted over some contrasting dark paper. I might try and preserve those masks for a future event, in which case what I might do is just paper clip them to this stamp set, because that's the stamp set where they are. So should I want them in the future, then I've got those just paper clipped up there, ready-made masks to use with that stamp set. If you've enjoyed that, do give me a thumbs up. I will, oh look, I had that rusty fabric I was thinking of using. I wonder if, no, look, stop. I know where that will go well. That might be another tag time. Yes, good. It needs white spatter, of course it does. Or maybe it needs fuzzy cactus spatter. Give me a thumbs up, as I was saying, if you've enjoyed that. Comments, questions, always welcome down below. Might put a bit of white with it, so we've got a slightly paler spatter. Let's pick up a bit of that with the other end. There you go, a little bit of white paint into the mix. I'm losing my track because I'm looking forward to spattering this. There it goes, and onto the nails, and onto the butterfly. That's key. Moth butterfly. All the ingredients I will list down below. If you've enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up, leave me comments and questions, check out the links that I'll leave for you, take a look at the ingredient list if you're keen to create something similar yourself, and remember, masking is a joy. Thanks so much for your company, and happy crafting all. Oh look, yes, well, that's always the sign of a good time, isn't it?